birds are chirping, the bees are buzzing, spring has sprung, and it's a great time to get in. Chew your underpants and take care of that tangly mess you call your pubes. By now, you've heard of the Lawnmower 3.0 from Manscaped, the absolute paragon of ball trimming technology. Well, now they've introduced the Weed Whacker. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in all those delicate holes. No more gross nose hairs flying in the wind. What's grosser, ear hair or nose hair? Ugh, let me change the subject. Let's talk about the various lotions and sprays Manscaped offers. You got your Crop Preserver. That's an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. Plus, there's the Crop Reviver, a spray-on toner for your balls. That'll keep you smelling fresh down there. And speaking of smelling fresh, complete your grooming game this spring with the new refined cologne signature scent by Manscaped. This stuff is legit and will have you smelling like royalty. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code NODUNKS20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code NODUNKS20 at manscaped.com. It's spring cleaning, baby, and your balls will thank you.
On today's show, we discuss how good the Knicks can be this season, the rash of recent injuries, including James Harden's latest setback, and the passing of the torch from Blake Griffin to Zion Williamson. Hey, I'm Tas Melis, and this is what you need to know in the NBA for Wednesday, April 21st. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's jump right in. Injuries have been the talk of the NBA recently. Stars are going down. The great Tom Haberstroh reported how many players this past weekend missed games. The logic is the schedule conducted in a smaller window than previous seasons has resulted in injuries. But the latest development in James Harden's situation has more wrinkles than that. James Harden suffered a setback in rehab this week. He was working his way back from a hamstring injury, and Coach Steve Nash said he may not be back till the playoffs, which are 4+ weeks away. Gotta wonder if the way James Harden came into Rockets camp late and overweight finally caught up to him. If you remember, he was doing some partying in other cities. He said he was rehabbing. He didn't want to be in Houston, and this isn't just me being an internet troll comparing him to Rick Ross and all that. His coach said it. Steve Nash said during the regular season, Harden can't practice because he's not in good enough shape to play in both games and practices. His games are his practices. And he was a workhorse during those games he played. He has been throughout his entire career every time he suits up. He doesn't miss games. But there are a few worries for Harden getting back healthy to help a Nets championship run this season. First, this was actually his second hamstring setback. And as we know, hamstring injuries don't just go away. He missed 2 games in early April due to the hammy. He came back and tweaked it on an innocent-looking play when he went into the lane versus the Knicks on April 5th, and he has missed 7 straight games since trying to get back. Hamstring injuries linger. This is Harden talking to his hamstring. Do you have to? Do you have to? Do you have to? Do you have to let it linger? I won't let that linger for you too long. And just like that in-game tweak, Nash said Harden didn't fall or stumble during his rehab session. He just fell, and a scan revealed the setback. Another huge worry, how long it'll take for him to get into game shape when he comes back. Has he been keeping in shape while out? It could be 6 weeks total before he's back. And does it even matter? He'll still be awesome most likely as he was earlier this season. That's the beauty of the Nets versus his Rockets days. He doesn't have to do everything. He doesn't have to play every possession, close out every possession. There's less on him. And the biggest worry, though, to me, is if Harden comes back for the start of the playoffs, he, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving will head into go time having played only 7 games together. Even if they haven't played that much together, the Nets have enough talent to win multiple playoff series. But what happens when they face some adversity for the first time? They haven't had hard losses together where they find a way, they persevere. They haven't been hardened, pun intended. It happened recently where a team didn't have the scars to fall back on, and they were bounced. Last year, after the Clippers were eliminated in the second round, Paul George talked about how it wasn't their year. They didn't have enough time together. You get punched. Down 2-1 in a series, fight back, then down 3-2. What if the idea seeps in? Oh, maybe this isn't our year, especially considering Kevin Durant's situation. He's also out. He missed 23 games earlier. In his fifth game back, he got injured. He's missed a couple games since. So I'm sure that's wearing on them a little bit. They're already expending some mental energy there, having to stay resilient. If you look around the league, the same is happening to a bunch of teams, as Tom Haberstroh pointed out. The Lakers, the Blazers, the Clippers, the Nuggets are in the worst situation of all because they're definitely not getting Jamal Murray back. Is the healthiest team going to win this thing? Is this like the Spurs winning the championship in the lockout season in the late 90s? But back to the Nets. Durant should be back soon, and by all accounts and by all the eyes, these guys like each other and are on the same page. Every situation is different, and they're not the Clippers of last year, but sometimes liking each other is not enough. On the other hand, they still have Kyrie Irving. The Nets visited the Pelicans Tuesday, and for me, it was cool to watch Zion Williamson fly by and around and over Blake Griffin a couple times. Not because I'm cruel, but because Blake Griffin gave us the most thrilling moments in the 2010s, and the thrilling moment leader title in the 2020s will belong to Zion Williamson. Got to come up with a better name for that title. But in their first ever matchup a couple weeks ago, they shared the floor for just 8 minutes. It was a blowout. It didn't really mean much. But this one was like a passing of the torch of sorts. As a guy who watches basketball nightly, I want these moments. Zion is going to be that guy in the 2020s. Blake was that guy. It's kind of easy to forget already because where Blake is in his career, but he was that guy in the 2010s. Zion had 33 in this one. It was a close game down the stretch. And then it was Kyrie Irving time. He couldn't close it out in the Nets' previous game versus Miami, but did he ever close it out against the Pelicans. He had two beautiful moves, can't stop me, the go left, spin, shot in the lane. Man, a tough shot, and then was able to just keep that low dribble and get to the backboard. Wow. Kyrie had 32. Pelicans' play-in tournament hopes are fading fast. They have 14 games remaining and are 4 games back of the tournament. A very interesting offseason coming in Nollins. But the Nets may not even be the best team in New York. The Mets definitely aren't the best team in New York. I'm not sure. Are they good? I haven't been following the National League. I kid. The Nets may not be the best basketball team in New York. The Knicks are just scorching. They are scorching. Charlotte Hornets visiting the New York Knicks. Talk about thrilling. This game was so much fun, so much shot making. 66-60 at half for Charlotte. Then the Knicks showed how they can go from bottom rung playoff team to being a playoff problem for other teams. In the third quarter, RJ Barrett got hot. RJ Barrett had an 18-point third Q. They need the second-year player to be consistent offensively. That guy is the key. How good can RJ Barrett be? Because they need someone to step up behind Julius Randle if they're going to be great. A couple days ago, I had Knicks fans yelling at me on Twitter for saying, I'm not sure what I said. I talk a lot about basketball. Maybe I need a 2-week vacation from Twitter like Steve Kerr and James Wiseman are taking. Get out of that mentions tab. Now, I said something about people not getting ridiculously excited for this team come playoff time, because they don't have enough consistent offense. RJ Barrett's the barometer, though, because you got Julius Randle, who's solid in the lead role, and hopefully he can keep it up in the playoffs. And Tom Thibodeau is getting the most out of his vets playing in that 8-man rotation. Nerlens Noel, Elfrid Payton, Taj Gibson, and Tibbs hasn't been tempted to start Derrick Rose and overuse him. Rose continues to come off the bench. He had an 8 for 12, 17-point night. It was fabulous against Charlotte. And maybe the Knicks can go on a Miami Heat bubble-like run, but Barrett will have to be great. But the scouting report is out. Don't leave him open in the corner, Charlotte. Jeez. The Knicks blew out Charlotte in the second half and have now won 7 in a row. Congrats to the Knicks. Short-handed Clippers versus the short-handed Blazers. I'd say most NBA fans don't want to give Paul George credit for being very good, but he has been phenomenal recently, playing like a number one guy. The ball is in his hands every possession down the stretch, especially with Kawhi Leonard out. More on his injury in a second. Paul George put the Clippers on his back the last minute as they came back from down 5, winning it on free throws. He had 33. PG has 32 or more in 6 of his last 7. Heartbreaker for the Blazers, though. Just couldn't get a stop in that last minute, and CJ McCollum had a great game in Damian Lillard's absence, but his shot at the buzzer didn't go down. Kawhi Leonard will be out at least till next week while managing right foot soreness, by the way. He missed 4 consecutive games with that foot injury, came back for 1, now out again, will be evaluated in a week. The Timberwolves beat the Kings, and Trae Young's goggles defeated the Magic. The Atlanta Hawks star was wearing the windows for precautionary reasons after getting poked in the eye by his teammate Onyeka Okongwu in the Hawks' previous game. Trae didn't take long to get used to him. He had 25. I don't know how you just put those things on and play. I would find it hard to get used to them. Maybe that's because I don't wear glasses anymore. Maybe that's because I had laser eye surgery, but I got to get some touch-ups soon. Did you need to know that? Probably not. I'll be back tomorrow to give you everything you need to know. I will talk to you then.